So today I have a very special guest on the podcast. He is probably one of my first famous, like kind of famous people to be on. So I'm really excited. And his name is Max Reisinger, and he has a YouTube channel. And so Max, if you could just tell listeners a bit about yourself and about your YouTube channel, that would be amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. And yeah, a little bit about myself. My name is Max Reisinger. I'm 17 years old. I'm a senior in high school currently in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Um, and I guess I'm renowned for my YouTube channel. I moved to the south of France in the beginning of 2019 with my family for around 7 months. And that's when I started my YouTube channel. I went to a French public school there, and that was sort of one of my first videos that went viral. And yeah, so I continued to film videos while I lived in France, and then I came back home and filmed more videos about just my life and my perspectives on things. And yeah, that's just a quick summary of who I am, what I do, and thank you for having me here again.
Yeah,
Can you hear this?
a little bit, but it's fine. I can edit it out, so it's totally fine. You're good. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Max. That was amazing. And just delving more into your YouTube channel and your clothing brand, Perspectopia, I would love to just know what first kind of drew you into YouTube.
I definitely attribute it to watching Casey Neistat when I was younger. I got really into his daily vlogs, and I just felt really inspired watching them every single day, and that feeling was just so incredible, and I wanted to be able to kind of create that same sort of sensation for other people.
Definitely. And I think I totally relate with that because I remember when I first like found out about Casey Neistat and his vlogs, and he used to like vlog every single day, right? And so I remember every single day I'd be like waiting for his vlog to come out just because like the way he edits his videos too is just like so signature and like it's just like amazing. I don't even know how to explain it because I'm not that good of an editor at all. Like I have my own YouTube channel, but it's like very small and it's just like for fun, right? As a creative outlet. But I feel like I can definitely see that inspiration too in your videos because I think your videos are very like well edited and thought out, and I think that's a commonality between like you and Casey Neistat's videos. Yeah. And then my next question is, why did you just initially start making videos? This might be just kind of repetitive, but yeah.
Um, yeah, so I guess after watching Casey's videos and following him for a couple of years, and I feel like whenever you watch someone inspiring like that, you're like, oh, I want to do that too. And then you're kind of like confronted with the reality, and you're like, my life isn't that interesting. I'm not catching plane rides all over the world every day. And I kind of just made an excuse that, my life isn't interesting. Maybe I'll start it eventually if something cool happens to me. And I was fortunate enough to have something cool happen to me. And I was like, all right, this is my one opportunity to do something incredible. I'm going to be completely just changing as a person throughout this experience, and what better time than to start a YouTube channel. So I was like, all right, you're going to be probably terrible on camera at first. Your editing might not be great. You might get made fun of. It might be a little cringe looking back. And it was all those things, but I was aware of that. And I was like, we're going to do it anyways. And yeah, that's sort of just, yeah, that was why.
No, definitely. But I like how you just like went for it. I think that's something that a lot of people don't have is that mindset of just going for something, even though, they're scared, right, of what the outcome might be. Because I know especially last year, I had this like ambition, right, and like really big idea in my head of like starting an organization, right? Especially since I'm in Michigan. So in Detroit, especially inner city Detroit, the kids, they're surrounded by a lot of negative outlets, I would say, like, gangs, drugs, whatever it be. And especially just the area of inner city Detroit is very underprivileged and impoverished. And so compared to, like I would say an hour out of Detroit. And I would say I'm very like lucky to be living in the place that I am because it's like, high middle class suburban area, and we have a really nice school. And so I wanted to, kind of give back right to that community. And I had this huge ambition of starting like a nonprofit with like dancing, right, as a positive creative outlet for the kids in inner city Detroit instead of them having to go and do drugs or go be part of a gang or something like that. But I just had these huge ambitions, right? But I never went for it because all my doubts, all my self-doubts, and I was scared of failure and like what my friends would say. And so I just never did it. But like now during quarantine, I don't have any like excuses, right? I'm not like, oh, I have to take the ACT or oh, I have school. Like I can't say that because I have this time now. So I was just like, I'm just gonna go for it. And like even just taking the first step, right, of just searching up on like Google, okay, how to make a website. That just like really altered my mindset because I was like, there's so many resources out there for you. Like even, free website makers like Wix. I don't know if you heard of Wix. Yeah, and it's like super easy to use. So like I really respect, your mindset for being able to just have that mindset in the get-go and be like, I'm just gonna do it. Even if you have like hesitations, where like, oh, I'm not sure, how good of a YouTube channel this would be or how good of a YouTube channel this would be. You just still went for it. And so I think that's really admirable and respectable. But yeah, my next question is what is your like creative process when, making a video?
Yeah, it's a little bit all over the place. There's nothing too like planned out or strategic with it. But yeah, it's sort of like a flow. I don't know, like I draw inspiration from a lot of different things. Maybe watching a movie with my family, going on a run, seeing something in the nature. Um, yeah, it's hard to exactly like pinpoint what my exact process is, but I guess I'd say it's drawing inspiration from things in all areas of my life and bringing it together and putting it into some sort of story that can help people out in some sort of way.
Definitely. And I think that's the best way you can do it because it just comes naturally, right? And you're just like creative, right? I feel like you have that creative bone in you where you're able to just find inspiration, right, from anything and make that into a YouTube video. Yeah, that's really admirable as well. And then my next question is, did you ever think like you would get to where you are like today regarding your YouTube channel, or did you just always have hesitations, I guess, going in?
So when I set out with making my YouTube channel, it was sort of like there's not an option to not be successful. So in my mind, it was just like one way or another, I will be successful on YouTube. And that's sort of how I approach a lot of things in life. Where for me, it's not necessarily about the outcome at the end, but it's more of like setting a crazy high unattainable goal and then just enjoying the process because it's so like you're doing the unthinkable that feels impossible in the moment, and that's what I really enjoy. So I was like, by the end of the year, I'm gonna have 10,000 subscribers, and to me at the time, like that was insane. Like 10K, like whoa, that's crazy. And I think it was like maybe even 8 months into the year, so like 2/3 of the year had gone by, and I was still at 2,000, and I was like, like I set a crazy goal, and I wasn't really even close to it at all, and it is what it is. And then things went crazy viral. I think by the end of the year, I was approaching 100,000, and I think everything just got blown out of proportion for what I even thought was actually possible. So I envisioned some sort of success, but nothing to where I am today. So I'm kind of blown away, and still I haven't really processed all that's going on.
Right. No, I think yeah, I would totally agree with you because I feel like if I was in your position, right, having just blown up almost, I guess, overnight, or maybe not overnight, but, just like over this past 2 years or a year that you've been doing your YouTube channel. And yeah, I think that's just crazy, about society now today, where you can just blow up overnight, especially with TikTok and all these different social media outlets. You can just like one day you could be like having 10K followers, right? But the next day, if you post something and it's really intriguing and you get like millions of views, I feel like that's just insane to think about, that somebody can just become famous right overnight. But yeah, so I totally agree with, how you're still like approaching and like handling like what this newfound fame that you got. But I really like how you're, oh, sorry, I really like how you're like giving your fans platforms, right? If that makes sense, with your Discord and all this different thing. You're really interacting with your fans. I feel like that's not really common nowadays with I feel like celebrities or even influencers, they always just try to like separate themselves, if that makes sense, from their fans. But I feel like you're actually, trying to communicate and like be friends with your fans, which I really think is cool. Yeah. And then my next question is, do you want to keep doing YouTube in the future or like even maybe as a possible career?
Yeah, I guess going back just to add on to your last question,
Yeah.
me is sort of like overnight in the sense where like it happened very fast, but I guess I just want to like make a point that like it was 7 months of working like almost every single day on it, and I guess for anyone watching, all it takes is that one thing, but it also takes a long time to just keep trying and experimenting and doing different things to eventually get to that overnight sort of success. But I think just don't be discouraged if it doesn't happen right away. It's just an extra point I want to make. And yeah, I definitely want to continue doing it as long as I enjoy it and I'm able to continue to, inspire others on it. Obviously, I can't predict what YouTube will be or look like in 5 years. But for now, I'm loving doing what I'm doing. And yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be fun to continue doing this as long as I can.
Definitely. And then now, like, just segueing into your company, Perspectopia. Why did you just choose to start this clothing company?
Yeah, I think I've always enjoyed expressing myself through fashion, um, and yeah, sort of like vintage design and just showing more of my personality through that. Um, and I guess I sort of wanted to combine the message that I had behind my channel, just optimistic perspectives about things, into something that you could wear and express yourself. And so that was sort of my process going into starting the business. And yeah, then I created Perspectopia, the first collection, and made a bunch of hoodies. And yeah, it's almost approaching 1 year now, close to that, when I first started designing the first hoodie. So yeah, it's crazy that it's been a year, but yeah, that was sort of why I decided to create it.
Definitely. And for listeners that are like, yeah, just listening right now, you should definitely go check out Max's company because it has really quality items, I would say, and you price them at like a good amount, if that makes sense, right? Because I see TikTokers like this girl, she's named Addison Ray, and she's like blown up on TikTok, right? And her sweater, it's literally just a black sweater, and then it just says "I need a bad bleep" because like that's an inside joke or something. And she priced that at $100, and I'm just like thinking you could get a regular black like hoodie any day just at like the thrift shop, right, for like $2. And so I think that's just insane. But I like how you are, making it affordable, right? And I actually have your bucket hat here, so
Oh,
like
wow.
yeah, but I feel like these are really nice quality, and I feel like it's a nice design too. You can wear it out, and yeah, it's just really nice. But now going into back to like Perspectopia and all that stuff, how did you come up with the idea, I guess, behind it, like your whole message?
hmm I guess throughout my experience living in France, I realized how powerful just having an optimistic perspective is and how it made me feel and all the things it led me to do. And I really wanted to continue to spread that message through my channel and through Perspectopia. And yeah, um, do you mind restating the question again so I answer it well?
Yeah. You're totally fine. Don't worry about. So how did you come up with the idea behind Perspectopia?
Yeah, I guess so I realized that like looking around in the world, not everyone is positive, not everyone's optimistic, and at times I was surrounded for what I thought was like not negativity, and I wanted to be able to just be optimistic and positive about certain things, and I felt like I couldn't always be in an environment where that was supported or accepted. And I was like, all right, how do I create a sense of feeling where you can be in a community with people who share like-minded beliefs about the world? I was like, all right, let me create something called Perspectopia, which is like a city in our minds where we all sort of metaphorically be together. And yeah, I just wanted to create a space where people could come together in whatever way they sort of imagined or whatever helped them out. Um, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's just such a good message, especially I would say like before I started watching your YouTube videos, right? And like learning more about your optimistic way of looking at things and perspective looking at things. I was definitely in like the toxic environment, especially at my school where I would say like, everybody's super competitive and it's like we're butting heads all the time and everybody's just trying to one up the next person, right? And so especially I take this class called IB Business Management. And
Mhm.
in that class, it's literally all those kids, right, that are like, oh my God, I have to go to like an Ivy League or something, or just like a really pretentious school. And then after I go to that 4 year college, I'm going to go to Wall Street or Silicon Valley, and then I'm going to make X amount of money. And then blah, 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 blah. And, I was in that mindset as well. I was thinking, okay, well, I got to take all these AP classes, all these IB classes, do all these extracurriculars just so I can like go to this Ivy League college, or not even Ivy League, just like, good college.
Yeah.
But after like watching your videos, I just like learned, that that's not all life is about. You can do so many things in life. It doesn't necessarily have to be the regular path of, going into the corporate world. And I feel like a lot of times people that don't take that path, they end up so much more like happy and fulfilled, right? Because you're not like for example, the other day I took this like entrepreneurship workshop thing, but they're talking about like why you should go into entrepreneurship, right? And why people normally don't take that route because it's like a risk and whatever. But the lady, like the speaker, she talked about how her sister, I think she got like a MBA from Oxford, and she got this like really nice job at JP Morgan, I think, in Wall Street, and was making a bunch of money each year. But she couldn't even do anything with that money, right? Because she didn't have the time. She was just like making all this money, and she would wake up at like 3 a.m. and then take the subway to like um Manhattan or whatever she was working, and then she would work there until like 12 a.m. And then that's just an insane amount to work, right? And to not even be able to use your money that you're working for, like she only had like 2 days off a year, which is I think just insane because I feel like you need to find that balance, right? Like with your work life and being able to enjoy the money that you're making. And so I just feel like that cycle of having to go to work and then just make all this money, but then not be able to like use your money and having this amazing apartment as well and not be able to use any of the furniture and it's just collecting dust, I think is so much less like so fulfilling than like being able to travel the world, right? And maybe not necessarily have like the most amazing job like finance manager, right? At some big finance company. You could be like just a barista or something at a coffee shop, but just be able to travel the world and do all these small jobs. I feel like those types of people are so much more fulfilled in the end. But yeah, I think I just really found all these different perspectives through watching your YouTube channel and learning more about like your clothing brand, right? And even when I wear your clothing brand, it reminds me like, oh, I need to be more optimistic, right? Because I'm always just surrounded by this environment of every single day of these kids that are always just competitive and they always ask you, they're like, oh, what'd you get on the SAT, or oh, what'd you get on this test, and blah 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 and all these different things. But it's just nice to kind of have an outlet, right? Like by watching your videos or even like buying a piece of clothing, it's just almost an outlet from that. So I think people should definitely check out your channel and your clothing brand. Um, but so yeah, just talking more about your clothing brand, what like or did you encounter any challenges when starting up Perspectopia or just like in the middle of starting up Perspectopia? Yeah.
Yeah, one of the most challenging things I've done is start a business, just because on the outside it looks like, oh wow, it's fun, get to make a bunch of hoodies and sell them and make money and everyone will wear them and be happy. And while it is that at times, it is just so much work just to do all the logistics, and things are just a lot more complicated than they look. Like, one of the most time consuming aspects of a business is, like, for me right now, is shipping, because orders get lost, people accidentally get the wrong order, and yeah, it's 24/7, business. There's just so many different aspects and things you have to plan for. And I think to a certain degree I do it to myself, just because I haven't expanded to having like a larger team, just the way I'm trying to do. um, but yeah, there's just a lot of setbacks. Things take a lot longer than you think, a lot of technical difficulties and stuff. And yeah, it's just a lot of work. But the thing is I've found ways to enjoy things along the way and creative things I can sort of inject what I'm doing. And while it is a lot of work, it's really rewarding because I feel like I'm doing all of this by myself. And yeah, like you get a lot out of it, and I think it builds confidence. And I think there's just so much you can take away from the experiences you get with running a business. But yeah, you run into a lot of stuff.
No, definitely. And I can't even
That's
imagine.
difficult, but
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like I can't even imagine being a one man team, right? For this company that you've definitely sold, a good amount of products. And I can't even imagine, having to ship out, right? So I think you do worldwide shipping, right? So yeah, that's just insane to me to think about, especially um, being a senior in high school and having to juggle everything that's going on, especially now with COVID, college apps, everything. It's just insane to me, and I really respect you for that. Even during the school year, right, having to edit these amazing edited YouTube videos while maintaining schoolwork, just social life, all these different things. So yeah, I think that's just really respectable.
thank you.
Yeah, of course. And then what is your ultimate goal, do you think, or what do you see for the future of just your YouTube channel and Perspectopia?
Yeah, I think first of all, I guess where I am now would have been like my ultimate goal looking back. So I think I just have to be really appreciative for where I'm at because it's crazy. But yeah, looking forward, I'm very content with what I'm doing. I'd love to just be able to expand and grow and be able to share my message and affect more and more people. Like everything that you were saying earlier about how it's positively affected you, like that makes me feel so happy that I can have an influence because I don't always get to hear the stories. Um, if I could just do that for the rest of my life, I'd be content. I mean, I'm already content with everything I've done. Um, yeah, I don't know if there's much more that would make me happy. Like I'm already happy. I think just making others be able to feel what I feel would make me happy, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. I totally relate with that. And now going into mindset, because that's all, what my podcast is about is like delving into different people's mindsets. My first question is, can you describe a time when your work or you were criticized and how'd you handle that?
I was criticized.
Yeah.
Um, to be honest, when I started a YouTube channel, I expected to get like a lot of hate and like mean comments, and I honestly have not encountered a lot of that at all. I think the worst feedback or criticism I've ever got is that like my camera is shaky or that like people like were just like teasing me. It was like my friends in a nice way. Like I don't think I've ever got any sort of hate mail or mean messages like ever. I'm not even exaggerating. Like I don't think I've ever really gotten like that mean of a comment. Um, like the worst thing is like you're privileged, and yeah, I'm privileged, but I mean I can't help that.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah, that people are nice when you give all nice things in the world, you tend to receive that back. So I think that's been a great lesson that I've learned.
Definitely. And I feel like that's just really refreshing to hear because I think a lot of people, when you think that have, the following that you have around 225K, I think it is now, you would think that they would get some sort of hate. But that's refreshing to hear that, you didn't really face that many challenges or hate regarding your YouTube channel. My next question is kind of deep, so you can take some time to think about it if you need. But what is your greatest failure or regret, and what do you think you learned from it?
Greatest failure or regret? I'd say not doing all of this from an earlier age. I think I spent a lot of time pondering about doing it instead of actually doing it. I got caught up imagining things, playing it out in my head. There's a quote I read that like the hardest thing about any task is the first 1% and the last 10%. So it's sort of like the blank page where your writer's block. Um, but I honestly don't live with any regret because I'm farther than where I thought I'd be. But I think if I started doing all this from a younger age, um, maybe things would be different. But I don't know. Honestly, looking back, I'm. I think everything I did was for a reason. And I learned things at every stage, and I don't know if I change anything.
Mhm. Definitely. And I think that's a really good mindset to have, not to look back at all your regrets all the time or just think, oh, I should have done this different or I should have done that different. You're able to just kind of live with that, right? And live with what you've done so far and be happy with where you are right now. So, yeah, I totally agree with that. My next question is, what just keeps you inspired or motivated?
Well, for example, hearing like the story that you just shared, that's incredibly inspiring. And just knowing that I can create more and more of those stories for people, that I can reach more people, talk to new people, experience new things, share those experiences. I think life is just endlessly exciting and fascinating in just so many different ways. So yeah, I think just life itself, the endless possibilities, just like makes me wake up with just being excited every day.
Exactly. And I think that's something that a lot of, the youth now, we don't really realize is like how much life we have left. I think a lot of us just always think, oh, about like the negatives. And I think that's a reason why, a lot of us suffer from things like depression or anxiety. Because I remember watching this one YouTube video, and it was about like how this one YouTuber, he got to meet the Alibaba, I think, and ask him one question. And the one question that he asked him was, like, or not Alibaba, sorry, what's his name? The Dalai Lama, and ask him one question. And the question that he asked him was, what would you say to those teens out there that are suffering from mental health issues such as anxiety and depression? And the Dalai Lama said that the reason or like these mental health issues stem from like self-centeredness or just like feeling like you don't have enough, right? Even though we live such privileged lives, right? And we don't realize, how much harder people have to work in third world countries, or we just don't see, how much harder life could be, and we don't realize, how privileged we are. And that's why we're just like, oh, we always think we have the worst life, right? And oh, we have depression, think, that we have the worst life. I keep repeating myself, but I think that's just really important, is to like know how much life you have left to live and how appreciated you should be for what you have. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. My next question is, how do you want to improve yourself in the next year, or if not the next year, in the next few years?
Yeah, I think going off your last question, I think I have to be content with what I'm doing now. Um, and yeah, I've gotten caught up with self improvement, and I think it almost made me unhappy at times because I always was comparing myself and saying, "Oh, I can do this more," be this certain way, do that. At the end of the day, I realized like, well, maybe that's just not how I am, but I could play to other strengths and things that I'm doing. I guess something I've done recently is just go to bed earlier and wake up earlier. Waking up at 6 a.m. is really liberating and it feels great. Um, and that was just one simple, easy fix, and I feel much better now just by doing that. But like, I don't know. I think if I just continue doing what I'm doing, I'll pick up certain things and maybe get better at social skills now that I've been quarantined for probably a little bit too long. I feel like get probably a little bit rusty at doing that. But yeah, I don't think there's anything crazy I want to change about myself. Just continue to be open minded and see where life takes me.
Definitely. And then now going on to, I guess, your work ethic, right? Because I think I mentioned before about how I really like, or I really respect how you're able to manage, a YouTube channel, a successful YouTube channel, and manage school and Perspectopia, all these different things. So I just love to know if you could describe your work ethic and how you just keep yourself organized.
Yeah, I think my work ethic comes from inspiration. So I don't really work well with sort of like deadlines or timelines where like, all right, I need to go edit for 3 hours and I need to maximize every second. It's more like I'll wake up. Do I feel like editing or do I feel like answering emails? Do I feel like working on common college applications or do I want to exercise? It's sort of like there's so many different things that I'm interested in. And I kind of just pick and choose. And then once I do this, I get it out of the way. So no day really looks the same. Um, but yeah, I think everything that I do is something that is mildly exciting. So I kind of just bounce around from thing to thing. And that keeps me sort of working hard just because I enjoy everything that I'm doing. Um, but yeah, I don't really view it as working hard or having work ethic. I'm just doing things that I enjoy, like maybe watching TV. I don't think most people would view that as work ethic, but if you enjoy it, you're getting stuff out of it. I think that's just as respectful.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that because I would say I was definitely in a slump until quarantine, I would say. Like in my work ethic where I procrastinate, all my schoolwork, and I would just Netflix all day. Literally before I started this podcast during quarantine, I literally had no or human interaction. Like I realized I would go weeks without talking even to my family, and I just like I can't even imagine, now having this podcast, being able to talk to people, right, all over the world, and people like you, not being able to talk, right, for a week. And I think though, when you like have something that you're passionate about, right, when you find your passion, you're just able to, I guess, naturally put in the work because you actually want to, like you said, because you enjoy it. So I totally agree with that. My next question is, was there ever a person in your life who really impacted your life or your outlook on life?
Mm. I have to say, definitely my parents and for the values that they live by and the importance of travel and like how cool other people are and other experiences and just the power of simple things in life and not getting too caught up with materialism. I think that's just really inspiring, and just knowing that if you if you don't get caught up with following like the regular path, that's completely fine, and you may end up happier. So I think my parents are really inspirational. Um, But yeah, I don't know if there's ever been like a defining moment where I met someone and like a light bulb switch. It's just been like a slow continuum of me just picking little things up.
But I think that's so true though. Like I think parents, especially, people our age, like 17, 16, 15, I feel like we don't really realize, how much our parents really have shaped us, and have shaped how we look or how our outlooks are on life. And so I think that's really respectable, that you understand that your parents are or have impacted your life and have impacted how you see life, how you view life, and how you're probably going to live your own life. So I think that's so true, and I definitely agree with that. My next question is more optimistic, not like, what your greatest failure or regret is, but what do you think you're most proud of?
Um, Being optimistic and just taking those little perspective shifts to just be optimistic instead of negative. I think every day there's so many decisions that you make, and you can just be kind of like in between. You could either be negative about it or positive. Um, I think just those little decisions, nothing that crazy brave or that takes that much courage, but just being as optimistic as I can whenever I can be. I'm proud of that because I think those really small decisions have led to everything today. So yeah.
Definitely. I totally agree with that as well. I remember seeing this one guy, I was following him on Instagram, and he wrote this little note on his Instagram story. And he said that, I think people never realize how many tiny choices you make, right, really affect who you are going to be in the future. Like, for example, I used to like hate doing math, right? And I didn't really work that hard in like my math studies because I just hated it. And so I feel like personally, if I did study harder in math, I might be going down the engineering route or something to do in the tech field because literally my whole family is like, computer science, techie people, but I want to do like business, marketing, things like that. And so I just can't even imagine, how different my life would be if I just did that like tiny different switch, right? Or switch with my life or a different choice. And so I totally agree with that. And then my next question is, what is your personal mission statement or quote? And it could be as simple as, Nike's just do it, or not even a quote, just like your own, I guess, yeah, mission statement that you go by.
Yeah. I sort of recently came up with the Perspectopia slogan, an optimistic way of living. I think that sums up just about everything that I do.
Totally. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And then where would you like to be, or where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 6 years from now?
Ooh, probably maybe in another country. That would be cool. Um, yeah, that's a long time. How old will I be? Like what? 22, 20?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably be out of college, um, starting a new life somewhere maybe. I don't know. Hopefully I'm happy. Maybe I've made a bunch of new friends, met a partner, who knows? But yeah, hopefully I'm still living true to myself and doing something creative. And I don't know. It's just so far out where anything can be possible.
Right, exactly. But I think I like that answer because I feel like if I were to ask, like, my friends in my school, they like, they know. They're like, okay, yeah, after I finish this Ivy League school or whatever, and then after those 4 years, I'm gonna go to Wall Street, I'm gonna go to this company. And they just like know everything. But I feel like having that like already planned, I guess, is like I feel like, nothing ever goes to plan, right? Because you never know what's gonna happen. So I think it's good to just kind of like let life take the lead, right? And just whatever goes on or like whatever happens, it happens. You can't really, change what the outcomes are. And you can't control what your life is going to be. So I think that's totally true. And I definitely agree with what you said. And my last mindset question before like all the fun questions and brain teasers are, what do you ultimately want to become just for yourself?
Um, hmm. I feel like the truest version of myself that I can be, just like a pure person inside and out. There's little things I'm always constantly trying to work on, but if there's nothing I'm like ashamed of or nothing I have to lie about, nothing that I have to regret or think about when I'm going to bed at night. Yeah, if I don't cheat or do anything dishonest, I think I'll be a really happy person. And I think if I can just, yeah, be as pure version of myself as I can be, I think that's all I really want.
Definitely. And I think that's like That's such a good goal, especially, I think nowadays everybody's always, somehow cheating or somehow doing something dishonest. Like I even know I heard apparently this girl last year, she's graduated now and she's off at University of Michigan. And I heard from people saying that she literally got somebody to write her college essay for her so she could get into Michigan, right? And I just can't even imagine like she took away the spot of somebody that might have truly earned the spot, right? And so I think that's just really nice that you just want to live your life and that your ultimate goal for life is to just be as pure and as honest and as optimistic as you can be as for a person. And so I think that's really respectable. And now going on to fun questions. What was the last book you read?
Oh, the last book I read, how to um, how to influence people and win friends. I think that's maybe it's switched, but it's by Dale Carnegie. And I've been reading it for a pretty long time now, just because it's very dense and there's a lot of like information that's important in it. So I've been reading it kind of chapter by chapter, taking notes, highlighting things. So it took me a long time to read, but there's just so much in there. Um, and yeah, I found that it's just like you don't really need to read your self improvement or networking book. That's sort of like the classic book. I definitely recommend reading it.
Definitely. And then my next question is, what's the best movie you've seen in the last year, and if not the last year, just like in general?
Um, an Alfred Hitchcock film. I've been watching a lot of those in quarantine with my family. Like North by Northwest was great. It was great. The Birds was a little bit freaky but good. Um, I'm yet to watch. I think anything by Alfred Hitchcock is a win.
Definitely. And then who are your heroes? And heroes can mean anything, right? From actresses and actors to Nobel Peace Prize winners, anything.
It's a good question. Um, I think people who are I don't know because I find like I said I draw inspiration from a lot of different things. So there's
Mhm.
no particular one person. I guess you could say Casey Neistat, but I think there's just so many leaders around the world who are staying true to themselves and being genuine and inspiring others. And I think there's just so many heroes around us. And at the same time, there are also heroes who aren't necessarily incredibly famous or celebrity, like my mailman. You know, to me, he's a hero in my eyes. You know, I don't think you necessarily have to do anything courageous or anything crazy out of the path. Hero. Um, yeah, I think everyone can be a hero. I think that in and of itself is inspiring.
Mhm. Definitely. And then what do you like to do for fun other than, the YouTube channel and Perspectopia and just like in your spare time?
Um, I run pretty competitively, so while most people hate that, I actually enjoy it. It doesn't sound fun, but it's really rewarding. Um, I enjoy watching other YouTube videos. I learned a lot from just watching different styles of videos. I play guitar. You can see that behind me. I play with my rabbits. Hang out with my family, hang out with friends when it's safe to do so. Um, but yeah, a lot of what I do in my life is sort of around YouTube and my business, so that's really what I enjoy the most. But I'm not like a productivity machine. I'll still watch a movie with my family and hang out. But yeah, I enjoy living a simple life because I feel like I've figured out what I enjoy right now.
Definitely. And then this is kind of a deep question, also mixed with fun, but just like what goes on in your head when you're like alone, just like in your car? Because I mean, I know what I think about is just like all these really random existential crisis things where I'm like, oh, why am I alive? Right. And I'm thinking, like, why am I able to like talk or have a mindset? I don't know. I just go through all these like really weird things. But I would just love to know what goes through your mind when you're just alone in your car.
Yeah, I think I definitely have similar thoughts where I'm like, wow, like we're just a bunch of animals, and like
Mm-hmm.
more and more you think about it, like I always think of like Earth when it was just like a rock and there's a bunch of lava and then
Mm-hmm.
we have like devices and we can talk across the country and we speak with like our mouth and you understand what I'm saying for some reason. I can see you and I can pick up and just like the most simple things that we take for granted. Sometimes I just just really am just blown away by them. Yeah, I think if you just zoom out on anything that seems really simple, I think it's just endlessly fascinating. But yeah, I think alone in my car, I spend a lot of time thinking about what I can do and what's possible in the world, just because there's just so many opportunities, and I find myself sort of pondering like, how can I do this that would lead to that, or yeah, I think yeah.
Hmm. No, I totally agree with that. Yeah, now going on to some brain teasers. These aren't too hard. They're just kind of like weird scenarios. But so we finish the podcast recording, and then you step outside and you find a lottery ticket that ends up winning $10 million. What would you do with it?
$10 million.
Mhm.
I probably don't leave any hate, but I don't think I'd donate it all to charity. I'd probably donate some and find a good cause. Probably put it in an investment account, a little bit of it, just make sure my future is chill. Um, I'd probably, hopefully, travel with it and maybe go on a trip with my friends when it's safe to obviously do so. Um, and then maybe find like a Perspectopia fund, sort of where like not necessarily sponsor people, um, but like if people have a dream, like if people have dreams to like maybe travel somewhere or get a new camera or um, yeah, I think it'd be cool to have a fund where you could like nominate your friend if they have a dream to do something and be able to use that money to be able to make someone's dreams come true. I think that'd be really awesome. Um, and then I'd probably buy a house and get out of my house. As much as I love my parents, it'd be cool to live.
Mhm. Totally. I love that Perspectopia Fund idea because I'm actually applying to something similar to that idea. It's called like Grip Tape, right? And what they do is they sponsor high school kids with passion projects, like if they want to start a podcast or if they want to start a business. They just give them $500, which isn't a lot, but it's still, enough where they can just get things going. And they still kind of lead them through like a 10-week process. I think it's just really cool, that they're willing to put in the time and effort to help kids with these different passions and outside of just what school offers, right? They can start different things like businesses and whatever they're passionate about. So I think that's just awesome, that you want to help others with their passions as well. And so my next brain teaser is a penguin walks through the door right now wearing a sombrero. What does he say and why is he here?
What does he say? Probably like something I can't understand. Why is he here? Someone's probably pranking me.
Perfect. And then my last question is because I got inspiration, or it literally is a question that I've been seeing all over your story, right, in Instagram. I would love to know what you think is the meaning of life.
Ooh, best question for last. Um, the meaning of life. I think it's a funny question because we get caught up in trying to find some specific answer that'll lead to us unlocking all these things in our life. I think I was reading through a lot of comments because that was when, like my last Instagram post was asking um, about life. I think that like, you feel special is love. I think if you can trust in that. I think love is sort of like a meaning of life, and I think life is whatever you want it to be, whatever feels special to you. I think we all create our own meaning to life, and I think it's important not to get caught up in trying to live someone else's meaning of life. I think that's what makes
Mhm.
us unhappy. We try to be things that we aren't necessarily. I think that leads us to being unhappy. So yeah, I think whatever makes you feel content and puts a smile on your face is I think something that you should do forever.
Hmm. For sure. I totally agree with that. I remember when I first saw this question on your Instagram story, I was thinking, like, I don't know, just this song. I don't know if you heard of it. I think it's by Kid Cudi, I think. And it's called Pursuit of Happiness, right? And so I just thought of that and I was like, I think life is, or like the meaning of life is, it's similar to you, where I think it's just everybody just trying to find their meaning of happiness, right? Or find something that they're passionate about, or, and everybody's meaning of success is different, right? And I think that's just something that people, especially the people that I'm surrounded by, that I told you, where it's like we're all just trying to one up each other and go to these prestigious schools, then graduate, get a corporate job, all these different things. I feel like they don't realize, that there's so many other ways to live your life and still have fun, and just pursue your own type of happiness or your own type of life. And, like you said, not trying to pursue another person's meaning of life. And so I definitely agree with that. Well, that wraps up the podcast. Thank you so much for being on, Max. This was an amazing episode. I think listeners are going to learn just so much more about, your mindset and about why you started different things like your YouTube channel, Perspectopia. And so if you have any last notes for listeners or plugs, for your YouTube channel, Instagram, Perspectopia, anything like that, go for it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It was a blast. Viewers, if you're listening, hello. Thank you for spending the time out of your day to listen to us. Yeah, I guess last closing remarks would just be, hopefully you can smile and see the optimistic, perspective on life, whatever it is. Yeah, life's good. We're only here for a short amount of time, and you might as well have fun and make the best out of it, make others happy. But yeah, things are really simple. Try to zoom out and enjoy it while we're here. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and peace.
Yes. Thank